Yeah, here we go. I felt good. Just kind of lean back and just. Oh. Okay, cool, man. Cool. Shit. Not cool. I swear, it's like just walking through here. It's an adventure. Something sticks to your foot. There's something to trip on. Sorry, I got a little preoccupied. How y'all doing? Good? Good? A lot of you here. Great. Okay. How's it going? Hopefully I won't lose you when I walk over to the dead air zone. I like strolling from one end of the space to the other for a minute. Okay, clearly it's not, there's a dead zone over there. I will note to self, stay clear of that area. Okay, hope you're doing well. I'll wait one more second and then I'll wait one more second. See who chimes in. Okay, we got more people joining. Great, lots of people joining. Casey_Matthews_artists. Yes. Okay, I knew. All right. Instead of the wave, someone actually wrote "hey," which is nice to see. Okay. So here we are. All of us, people joining, everyone with the wave. It's sort of like stuff gets in the air, and before you know it, everyone's like around the world is subconsciously using the same emoji instead of typing out HEY or HELLO. It's that wave thing, right? Okay. Oh, there's a hey. Thank you, Casey_Matthews_artist. Not only did she give me a hey, she used the little hand emoji, which was actually a nice curveball. I appreciate the twist. Oh, someone's from Manchester, UK. Great. Collective wave. Okay, great. All right, here we go. Really quickly, I have a print. It's available on my website, howardsherman.com. Go to howardsherman.com, click on available prints, and you can see it there. Buy it today, buy it now. I also have Small Works on Paper available on the shop page. You can click on shop. What else can I tell you? That's the important stuff. Go grab the print. I hope you get it. I'm in the middle of an exhibition in Houston, Texas at Foltz Fine Art. If you can make your way there, you can make an appointment to see the show. Just wear a mask. That's all that they will ask. Show's up until, I think, October 17th. So you still got a solid week and a half, 2 weeks to see it. That's really all I have to talk about regarding that right now. If you get on my email list, you'll have a lot more inside information about things. So if you click on contact on howardsherman.com, go to howardsherman.com, click on contact, you could subscribe to the email list, click the black button and subscribe to the email list. So that's how you find out about all the real goodies, is to get on my email list. I send out a weekly email. What else can I tell you? The catalogs for the exhibition sold out. They did order more. The gallery ordered more, which is good. It's a really great catalog. So it's great to hear people want the catalog. Even better when they want the actual work. Anyway, so basically what I want to talk to y'all about today is two things. I want to talk to you about courage, and I want to talk to you about chance. So the first one I'll talk to you about is courage and how it relates to artists and their artwork. I think that one of the reasons I want to talk about this one is because I get a lot of comments or emails from people, or just dialogues with people meaning mostly artists, but sometimes people who are interested in art or engaging either in collecting art or looking at art, but they're a little scared and they're a little fearful. But let me back up and talk for a minute about courage in relationship to artists and making artwork, because I wrote a few notes down and I think that they'll be really helpful. I think that every good artwork has courage in it. I think that the trick is to sort of stave off fear and stave off criticism. And this can apply to people who are newbies, even just engaging and looking at artwork as well. By the way, I just want to point out that these are, once again, ideas I'm sort of paraphrasing from that Salts book that I've mentioned in previous videos. And you can go look at those videos on my website too, under the Live from the Studio page. You can review all of the stuff that I've been talking about. Anyway, if you can stave off cynicism and you can stave off fear, you're going to be able to come up with things that are courageous. And if there's courage in the work's going to be better. You've just got to basically have faith. Quite frankly, right now, a lot of, in certain circles, especially in New York, I think some of what I've been doing, some of what I do, what's been embedded in my work has been kind of out of fashion. I mean, I still am fortunate that I've had support and somewhat of an audience for what I do and people that are interested, and I appreciate y'all tuning in and all that sort of stuff. But at the moment, let's be specific. I can be even more specific. It feels as though the political climate and the social politics that have been blowing up over the last, amplified more so than they've been there for a long time, but they've been super amplified over the last 24 to 36 months, maybe even a little longer, but definitely the last 24 to 36 months, we're taking and are taking center stage commercially in certain areas of the art world. And what I do isn't really engaged in that directly. What I do is almost like I don't want to say a respite from that or an internal, well, it is a bit of a respite and an internal sort of dialogue, but it's a refuge from all of that in a way, even though it can be pretty physical and aggressive, but it's definitely, I definitely don't think it's, been quote unquote in fashion at this particular moment. And there are those moments where you're walking around looking at what's popular in the moment where it can rattle you, but you still have to have courage to do what you believe in. And that's sort of the point I'm bringing it back to. You've got to have courage. You've got to have faith, even when what you're doing is out of fashion. You gotta believe in what you're making. And the other one that's really important, remember this: you've got to be ready to sacrifice. There's gonna be all kinds of sacrifices involved. A lot of what I'm saying here might sound obvious to some of you, but a lot of you come back at me and go, "Oh, well, thank you for sharing it. Thank you for saying that again. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for being so direct." And so I figured, that's an important reminder. I need to remind you all about courage today. And I need to remind you about doing things that feel right to you, even if they're not particularly in fashion at the moment, So that's that. The other thing I wanted to mention today is chance. You've got to pay attention to chance. While you're like doing whatever you're doing creatively in the studio, or if you're not an artist, maybe you're writing something or you're at work working on something. Well, let me ask you, what's playing in the background? What's the music playing in the background? What's preoccupying you when you're daydreaming? What do you keep staring at in your room, or meandering about in your thoughts? I mean, it's a whole list of different things that may not be directly related to what your work is about at the moment or what you're working on. But these are important. These things that you kind of obsess over that you don't think belong in your artwork or in your work, if you're not an artist, maybe maybe they do. And I think that it's important for you to pay attention to the things that you might be obsessing over and not get too hung up on whether they quote unquote belong in your artwork. Or if you're an artist and you think about putting that particular thing into your artwork, but you're worried that it doesn't look like art, quote unquote art. I'm using one hand instead of two because I'm holding the other hand with the phone. Well, maybe you need to get over that and just try it. You need to use everything. You need to use all this stuff. You need to try it all out because you never know. It might be the thing that gives the work a whole different kind of a twist, right? I think it's important for you to pay attention to this stuff and let it find its way into your work. You need to let it mix unexpectedly with what you're doing. So pay attention to chance. Pay attention to all those weird obsessive things outside the parameters of what you're doing, because we all very easily lock our own selves into a box. We have very specific parameters for what we're doing, what we're making, how we commodify it, how we label it. But if you pay attention to all these other things that are sort of bubbling or meandering around, you might come up with something unexpected that's interesting, and it might give the chance a purpose. So again, pay attention to chance. And it changes chance's flow when you pay attention to these sorts of things. You never know when one of those things is going to come up and be really, really useful in your work and make it really interesting or unusual or inventive in these unexpected ways. A lot of the questions that I get from people emailing me, they're very cookie cutter, play by the rules sort of professional sort of things. And I think that if you can, God, for lack of a better word, I know it's a better term, I know it's cliche, but if you can think outside the box, that's always useful, And I hope that what I just said about courage and chance helps people watching who aren't necessarily artists, but it certainly applies. It certainly applies to those of you who are making artwork. Anyway, courage, chance. Hope that helped. That's my short little blurb for the day. And I'm going to try not to fucking lose my shit over what's your inspiration or how long does it take to finish, because I'm sure those are the only two questions that you're going to ask me right now. So don't ask me those. Ask me something else. And I'll hang out for a minute or two. And see what kind of questions I get. And if they're helpful or useful to you, I will answer them, because I'm hoping that these little videos are helpful to y'all. Let me scrolling back through, seeing if I can find if I missed some questions, putting the paper down. Did I miss some questions? No, I went too far. Okay, let me scroll back up. Feel free to email me ahead of time. Thank you to those of you who emailed me questions. I appreciate it. Sometimes, as you can see in previous videos, if you go watch them, sometimes I've been able to answer some of them, and I found them helpful to you. Oh, there's Poor Sauce. Poor Sauce, give me a good question, not just the what up. Poor Sauce, you show up every week. Let's hear a good question. Here's a great question. Okay, this is from Amy Blackett. I'm sorry, is that right? Amy Blackett Art. And I think Amy Blackett, you might have just sent me an email, I think, just a little minute ago. Or maybe that's somebody else. I don't remember. I have to go look. Amy Blackett Art says, Black-edged. Sorry, I apologize. Are you concerned with your wider artistic legacy as you work? I'm not concerned with my legacy as I work. I am concerned with my legacy as an overarching thought. I don't think about it while I'm working. I do think about it after the fact, though. David Levy, artist, says, I see you work with paper. Cool idea. Look like the look. How does it travel shipping to galleries and buyers? It depends well, you either ship work framed or unframed, David. I don't really have a good answer to that question. And, I really don't have any lessons in packing for you, packing or shipping, but you either ship things framed or you ship them unframed, and you pack them very carefully. You can Google how to pack framed artwork. Framing sometimes depends on the scale of the work too. So I would recommend talking to an art handler about packing and shipping if that's a concern of yours. Oh, wow. Fucking questions are great today, y'all. I appreciate it. Why don't some of you email me these ahead of time so I don't sit here like with dead air? I mean, some of y'all are coming up with some home runs today. This is great. Including Kyle C. Hunt. Kyle, hit me up the day before or 2 days before with an email. Kyle, do you spend a lot of time just staring at your paintings in process, or do you try to keep your hand moving free of questioning? This is really great. I personally spend a lot of time I do spend time keeping my hand moving free of questioning, which I think is hugely important, especially as a warm-up exercise. I remember when I was teaching undergraduate drawing, I would have them start out with scribbling and gestural movement without picking their pen up off the paper. It is as formal and old school as it sounds. It's a great warm-up exercise. I have a little bit of that in my work these days, but I do spend a tremendous amount of time sitting and staring and thinking. I mean, that's a huge, huge part of what I do. So, great question, Kyle C. Hunt. I think everyone's different. I think that sometimes, I also want to say this regarding that, is that I think that there's a lot of times where I get people on here who are looking they want to know how I do what I do, but how I do what I do is going to be very different than how you do what you do, because we're two different people, And I try and explain that to people a lot, especially the copycats on here who are just, trying to knock off what I make. But, you're never going to make what I make. I'm never going to make what you make. We've had two different lives, two different experiences. And you should mine your own, you should try and mine your own soil, so to speak, to come up with your garden. I just made that up off the top of my head, but I like it. I think that that's how you're going to come up with really interesting personal stuff that, anyway, so Kyle C. Hunt, I appreciate the good question. Poor Sauce. Here's a good one from Poor Sauce. Poor Sauce decided to deliver. Thank you, Poor Sauce. Are you more in the absolute present moment, or do you like to have an out-of-body decision-making process? That sounds like you've been watching too many movies, Poor Sauce. Honestly, out-of-body decision-making process. I mean, these sorts of things, I guess they do happen, but I don't count on them to happen, nor do I plan on anything like this to happen. I just try and stay focused on what I'm doing. It's way more pragmatic and not romantic than you would think most of the time. People just love the romantic ideas and myths in Hollywood movies of what goes on every day while you're working, and that's not really how real life is. No one wants to kiss the ass of reality. Everyone wants it handed to them on a silver platter while they lounge on a cloud with gummy bears and sunshine or something. That's just not how things work. But I do make posts, and I do write about these sort of creativity and process and flow comments, and I think they're interesting to read, and there is a kernel of truth to those. But those sorts of things aren't like a daily occurrence, 8 hours a day every day. They're certainly not what if I sat around waiting for that sort of stuff to happen, I wouldn't get anything done. You just gotta poor sauce. You just gotta get to work, man. You gotta get to work. That's it. Anyway, let me look through and see if I got one more goodie. I appreciate the thoughtful questions. I hope that y'all will email me them ahead of time in the future. I hope that some of this has helped. Let's see if I got anything else. I'll look really quickly. Okay, here's another good one. Amy Blackledge Art. I know you advocate observational drawing, but what are your thoughts on automatic drawing? I think they're both useful, especially when you're starting out. I think they're both useful. I think you'll get more out of observational drawing if you're a beginner. You get a lot more out of observational drawing than you will out of automatic drawing. Automatic drawing, if we're talking about it like sort of in a historical sort of way, or blind, let's even say blind gesture drawing of any sort. I mean, it's going to get better after you've spent some time doing observational drawing and not just scribbling. I have this one follower who I did some private critiques with, which, by the way, I'm available for right now. I've got some time if you're interested. You can email me about that. But that's a side note. Regarding the automatic drawing, I've got one particular student, or a former student rather, and she never learned how to draw, and it's just a bunch of automatic drawing and scribble in her artwork, and you can tell there's much less purpose to it. It looks amateur. It looks amateurish, and there's no sense of composition. It's just a bunch of muttered scribbling. It doesn't, there's no form or composition or content to it. And she'd have a better sense of that sort of thing if she would have spent more time doing observational drawing like you learn in a drawing 1, drawing 2 class. It would give everything a little more intent and purpose. And then she'd know how to incorporate or imply her automatic drawing a little bit more convincingly. Then, having said that, though, you may not be into any of that. You just might want to put on a blindfold and scribble away just to get something out of your system, and that's cool too. No one ever has to see it, But if that's your intention, that's a different intention than the first thing I was just talking about. Here's an interesting question. Thony Duvall, what does your studio smell like? My studio doesn't smell like much because I use mostly acrylic paint, so you're not going to come in here and get hit over the head with fumes from paint thinner or turpentine or anything like that. I don't use a lot of oil paint, so there's not much of a smell going on in here. I know that's not cool, but that's just how it is for me. Thony Duvall, I hope you don't hate me. I don't have you're not going to get overwhelmed with toxic fumes here. Anyway, I think that unless there's some super pressing question, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Okay, I think that's going to be it. I'll say this really quickly, a couple of things. There's available print on my website. If you go to howardsherman.com, click on available prints, you can grab a print there. I also have a little time right now. If you're interested in individual critiques, you can email me and I'll send you the details about that. And go see my show if you can. Wear a mask. All right? Have a good one. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.